Guys, the famous Spider Bench Miller has committed a great sin for y'all, and especially for myself. So, you guys know I have a very particular preference of what Nerf series I don't like or what Blaster series I don't like. You guys know how I feel about Ultra, Elite 2.0. The one I really don't like is Hyper, and yet I've had to commit that sin only because it's the best Hyper Blaster to my knowledge, and that is the Rush 40. The Rush 40 is honestly the only Hyper Blaster I could really see yourself actually getting and having fun with. So, of course, external overview, starting up at the front. There is no barrel attachment. This is a rival blaster, but it does have a very intimidating front end. And also for pistol users, it's a over-under. So ammunition's on the top, barrel is on the bottom. So when you're firing this, just keep in mind where that's located. And then up above, we do have the hopper. And this whole thing is the priming handle. So, yeah. And of course, this is dry fire safe, but sometimes if you just want to not make a whole lot of noise, just do that. So this whole thing is the hopper, and above we do have a tactical rail or rival tactical rail, which, whoops, hit the mic, which can accept these. These are refill containers. This is the only one I have bought because I could not find the 100 one, but also I don't intend to get more because these things are terrible. We'll go over that in my opinion at the end, but these can fit onto the rails and stick there for extra ammunition. So of course, when you have to open up the door, refill, yeah. And then of course, this is where the ammo capacity is, to where you just lift that up and you fill it in there. Now, here's one thing I also don't like about the Hyper series. They really undersell their ammunition. So, for example, the Rush 40. It's called the Rush 40. It can hold 40, but yet they only include 30. And sometimes they don't even put the full amount in if you watch Drax videos on Hyper. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like it. And this one I think can hold about 50 rounds maybe, but it really requires a lot of cluttering in there, and plus also doesn't feed reliably. So yeah, and then of course we do have iron sights on this. We have the two back here and the one up front, which makes a pretty clean picture. But of course, with the over-under, you're going to have to readjust your aim, kind of how you're going to do it. Now, down to the trigger. The trigger pull is very nice. Of course, this blaster does not have slam fire. If you try to slam fire it, it locks up so it doesn't let you. And it's actually a flat face trigger, which is, I believe, used in sports competition guns. To my knowledge, I can't fully remember. We do have another rail under here, and right here, and under here. The only thing I could really see that you can mount on these is the ammo container, which makes a little bit of sense, but I would prefer just holding this on your body so that you can come in and, yeah. And then, of course, over on this side, we do have a trigger safety. It's present on the left side, not the right hand, not full ambi, bro. But, of course, when it is down, it's safe. I cannot pull the trigger. Raise it up, and I can pull the trigger. Now down to the grip. The grip on the Rush 40 is actually very comfortable. It's a pretty fun thing, and you would expect the handguard down here to be interfering with that, but it actually surprisingly doesn't. It's very comfy. Now, if you're a spinner of your pistol, you're going to have to readjust like that. You're going to have to readjust how to catch it, which is always fun. And of course, on the back of the blaster, we do have a priming indicator. When you prime it, a little kind of fluorescent green comes out, and then of course, you fire it and it goes away. And on the back, we do have the unjamming button. After you prime the blaster, you're not able to prime it again. Pushing this down allows you to unlock that prime. So in rival sense, you can shotgun load, kind of. Well, rival, but also like Retroforce and Dark Zone. But yeah. So, and of course we have a sling or landing mount right here, but let's be real, you aren't going to be slinging a pistol, you're going to be holstering it. So that is the external overview of the Rush 40. Now I'll show you it firing. Just firing off the regular rounds. Reason why we're not shooting at the target usually is because these things are stupid and you can lose them. You'll see why.
You're out. There's only one thing I have to say to Nerf. Pathetic.
So overall, that firing demo was a little bit frustrating. So one of the main issues with this blaster is it's a hopper-fed blaster. So you either have to have the blaster level or aimed down, so like a chamber. But what was the most frustrating is the fact that part of the times it wouldn't even chamber.
Yeah. And it just looked like it was just jamming way too much.
Especially with how many times I would and then I have to prime it again.
Yeah.
So overall opinion on this, guys, look, like I said, this is the better of the Hyper Blasters, but overall, I just don't like Hyper. There's a reason why I don't.
Like if that's the best one out of Hyper, then Hyper should be discontinued.
Which I hope they are getting discontinued, because I haven't heard anything on the new Hyper Blaster.
No, I mean like stop production of making those.
So that's why I'm really hoping that they're done. Like, Mythical Spider, what do you have right there?
Oh, just a normal rival blaster. The XV...
Chronos.
Oh, the Chronos. Okay.
Yeah, you're all good, but
I always forget the name.
overall, like, here's why I don't like Hyper. May I see that, please?
Alright.
Perfect. Here's the only reason why this one actually couldn't overthrow this, because the same form factor, and it's a 40-round pistol compared to a 5-round pistol. Like, this is a god tier sidearm, but how often you want to use it? It kind of comes down to this: how often do you use your pistol? The Chronos is a solid 5-round pistol that you don't have to use very often, like the Hammer Shot in a sense, and it's a very solid pistol. Coop's M72 is like one of his most favorite rival blasters and one of my favorites, even though I gotta get a new one because my spring in mine has kind of worn out over time. But overall, this one just feels better to use. It's more reliable. Well, this one, you have to always worry about, you can prime it, you have your target ready, misfires, like shoot, and by the time you go to load again, you're gonna get shot. But that's the only thing that really can be with Hyper, because here's an example: the Mach 100 and the Perseus. They're pretty much the same form factor, but the Mach 100 holds 100 rounds, the Perseus only holds 50. But when you look at these two, they're identical. They're very much the same blaster. There you go. And that's also something I wanted to get into this video, is where did I put those? Ah, here it is. Well, I'm staying on one. So here's the thing. One of the other reasons why I don't like Hyper. And this is a Hyper round. As you see, with all the hair on it, this is very small and can get lost very well. Like, I lost I think 10 of the rounds that I bought with that 50-round canister. And one of the other reasons is just how dense it is, and it's not accurate at all. Like, one of the things I've seen Drac does is he literally takes out this whole front end and puts a hop-up tab. Like, could I see that real quick?
Oh, sure. Here you go.
Thank you. Rival blasters have a hop-up tab inside. You can't see it on camera very well, but there's a little white piece up there, which is a hop-up tab, and it adds spin on the ball so it fires in a more accurate position. With Hyper, it doesn't have that, and Drac was able to fix the Mach 100 because pretty much where it's at right now, it just slides in there, and it's not really that great. Is this even gonna? Yep. But overall, just not a great package. And when you compare it to an actual rival round, actually one of my favorite rival rounds now, the blue, Team Blue all the way. Team Red. But overall, this is just the overall better buy. Even though, yes, it's a lot bigger, and of course it requires a much more carrying compared to a Hyper round, which, yes, you could fill up a jar with over 1,000 of these. With these, you could probably only fill 100. But overall, just these perform way more accurately. They're better to rely on, and you're not going to lose them. And Here's one of the other things I don't like about hyper rounds. They get filthy so easily. You drop it, and I literally just got 2 hairs on it. But with this one, no hair. These things are so hard to keep around, and they're so hard to find, and it's just a cheap money scam when you say that this holds 40 rounds and you only include 30 and you only put in the instructions to hold 30 when this can clearly hold 40. It's in its name. The Mach 100 holds 100 rounds, but they only include 80, and the Rush and the what's the other one called? The I can't remember what it's called. The Rush 40, the Mach 100, the Siege 50. Siege 50 holds 50 rounds, and it's the same kind of system, but that one works less reliably. Holds 50 shots, only includes 40. Nice. But do you guys kind of see like that point? Like, what do you think about that? We were discussing this in Target the other day. Like, the fact that they include only like 30 shots with this, and how much is like the refill canisters again?
Isn't it $10 or
15, I think. I think it's like 15 for 100 and maybe like 10 for 50.
That's outrageous in my opinion.
And yeah, so that's my overall opinion. This is a little bit of a harsh review, but it's just overall because I don't like Hyper. And overall, I would use a Chronos over this any day. But of course, that's just my personal opinion. But it's just, I love Rival too much. Sorry.
Yeah, you're all good, mate.
I love Rival too much, and this cheap money scam is not going to make me leave it. That was clean. The one thing I can at least give Hyper credit for as well is these blasters look clean. Like, oh my gosh, this looks sexy, dude. The gray accent, especially as you look on, it's very well detailed. And surprising for Nerf, they actually painted both sides. Sorry, I need to grab the Chronos again. Paint on this side, no paint. The only way you can paint it is by painting it yourself. Oh, well, actually, they have, look at this. They have paint on this side, but they don't even paint the logos.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, it's stupid. But overall, I'm not going to trade out Rival for Hyper, and that's what I'm worried Nerf is trying to do with Hyper, is they're trying to obsolete Rival, because we don't see that many Rival releases now. This year only had 2, last year only had 3, and I'm really hoping Rival doesn't go anywhere soon, because I love Rival. Rival is overall one of the greatest series that Nerf has ever made. When you compare it how they are now with Nerf, with Hyper, Elite 2.0, Ultra, it's just garbage. Alpha Strike, all of it. Which does prompt me to maybe one day do a video on my favorite series, like my top 5 favorite Nerf series, and then also my least favorite series, which could get good, but also harsh. But overall, I don't really recommend you purchase this one. If you're going to buy something like this, just go buy a Chronos. The Chronos is obviously the better way to go. But thank you so much for watching my video. Stay tuned for the next one, and as always, stay tactical.